All right, today we're going to be looking at operations with signed numbers as well as a couple of other things. So we're going to review adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing with positives and negatives. We're going to review that order of operations, and we're also going to explore more recursion, sort of like the fractals, right? Repeating a process. We're going to explore that in algebraic expressions. So just remember from previous years that operations with signed numbers follow a couple of rules. If the signs are the same, what happens? So if you have like a positive 2 plus a positive 3, so if we add those, the answer is going to be the common sign, right? If the signs are different, excuse me, if the signs are different, we're going to subtract, and the answer is going to be the sign of the larger number. So we're going to go through a couple of examples just to remember what that's about. All right, so first of all, what's going on here? All right, so I have positive 9 minus 6. So in other words, we can think of these signs as being different. This is like a 9 plus a negative 6, right? So my signs are different. I'm going to go ahead and add those together. So I have a 9 and a negative 6. I'm sorry, I'm going to subtract those when my signs are different. So I have 9 minus 6, which is a 3. And the answer is the sign of the larger number. Well, the larger number is a positive 9, so my result is a positive 3. Take a look at another one. I have a negative 12 plus 3, so I have a negative, right? Negative 12, and it looks like I have a positive 3. So the signs are different, right? Different signs. I'm going to subtract those. So I could just say 12 minus 3, right? And that's 9. But the sign of my larger number is a negative. So that's actually going to be a negative 9. So negative 12 plus 3 is negative 9. Sign of the larger number. All right, here it looks like I have same sign, negative 10 and negative 4. So same signs. I'm going to add those together. So 10 plus 4 is 14. But again, I want to take the sign that I was given. Since they're both negatives, my answer is going to be a negative 14. All right, here it looks like I have same signs, positive 15 and positive 8. So I'm just going to add those together. 15 and 8 is 23. The common sign is positive, so that's a positive 23. Let's just do a couple more. Negative 6 minus negative 20. Here I'm going to remind you of a rule you've probably heard before. Minus a negative, so negative 6 minus negative 20 is the same thing as plus positive. Plus positive. Remember, minus negative is the same thing as plus positive. So whenever you see those two kind of negatives that look like they're together, you can change that to plus positive. So now I have different signs. I have a negative and I have a positive. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract. So 20 minus 6. And that's going to give me 14. Remember, you want to take the sign of the larger number. Well, the larger number is 20, and that sign is positive. So it's going to be positive 14. And last one, negative 3 plus negative 5 minus 1. I'm going to do my negative 3 plus negative 5. Same signs, so I'm going to add. 3 and a 5 is 8, but they're both negative. So now I have negative 8, and I have a negative 1. Negative 8 and negative 1. Well, 8 and 1 is 9, so negative 8 and a negative 1 is negative 9. All right, so moving on. Oops. Let's see. Multiplication and division. So remember the couple of rules for multiplication and division. First of all, if the signs are the same, the answer is positive. If the signs are different, the answer is negative. So same signs, positive, different signs, negative. I'm going to go back a second here. It looks like my slides are a little out of order. Okay, so now I have a -9 times a -3. Remember when you see those parentheses, that means times, right? There's a multiplication symbol in there. It's just hiding. So same signs, negative and a negative, is going to give me a positive product. So 9 times 3 is 27, and it's going to be a positive 27. All right, let's take a look at this one. Looks like all of my signs are the same. Positive 2a, positive 4c, positive 1/2 d. Okay, so I'm going to follow some order of operations here. Well, 2 times 4 is 8. And a times c is just ac. Okay? And then I have times 0.5d. They're still both positive. So I'm going to think about it this way. This is 1/2, right? So 1/2 of 8. Remember, multiplication and of are the same thing essentially. So 1/2 of 8 is 4. And then I still have my AC, my D. So it's going to be A, C, D. So 4ACD. All right, let's take a look at this one. Looks like my signs are different. When my signs are different, again, I'm going to have a negative product. So 5 times -6 is going to be -30, and I still have that K. So -30K. Excuse me. All right, so I have some fractions. So remember how you multiply fractions. I'm going to multiply my numerators, and I'm going to multiply my denominators. Also remember that with multiplication, it's commutative. You can multiply in any order, right? I'm just going to go left to right. So -1 times 5, my signs are different. So that's -5. And then I have times 1 over here, right? So in my numerator, I have -5 times 1. Signs are different. So my numerator is -5. And in my denominator, 2 times 3 is 6. Signs are the same, so it's positive. And then times 4. So 6 times 4 is 24. And I'm going to actually rewrite that. That one negative in the numerator makes the whole thing negative. -5 over 24. All right, one last example. 3 times -2 times -10. Remember, you can do multiplication in any order. So I'm actually going to do these two first. Because to me, it's easier to think of. Those signs are the same, so that's going to be positive, right? So -2 times -10 is positive 20. And then I still have times 3. So you can see that my answer ends up being a positive 60. So when you have more than 2 values, so here I have 3 values, right? When you have more than 2 values, make sure that you're taking into consideration every sign. So even though these signs are different, if I multiply 2 of these signs that are the same, I'm going to end up with a positive, and then I multiplied by a positive to get another positive, right? So remember, when you have more than 2 numbers, you got to look at the signs of all the numbers. All right, now moving on. One other thing to recall from the past. The order of operations, remember that PEMDAS, right? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, some people remember. You might remember it a different way. Let's recall what those things are. So P is parentheses, right? We want to evaluate anything in parentheses. Right, so P is parentheses. Write these down. I'm not going to write them on the board, but please get them in your notes. So P is parentheses. E is exponents. I'm going to put M and D together. M and D are multiplication and division. Now we do those in whatever order they come. So if division comes before the multiplication, do the division first. And then finally, addition and subtraction. Again, do whichever one comes first. If subtraction comes first before the addition, make sure to do the subtraction first. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. So let's do number 1. First of all, are there any parentheses? Nope, no parentheses. Are there any exponents? Yes, there are exponents. So I'm going to go on and do that exponent. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. And please make sure you're doing these step by step. So 3 minus 4 times, and I'm evaluating that exponent, right? 5 squared is 25. So I've done all my exponents. I'm going to do multiplication and division. There is multiplication. So I want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and put that in parentheses just to show that I'm doing the multiplications. Now I have 3 minus 4 times 25, or 3 minus 100. And then finally, we have addition and subtraction. There's just subtraction, so 3 minus 100 is going to give us negative 97. All right, number 2, let's do this again. So do I have parentheses? No parentheses. Do I have exponents? No exponents. Do I have multiplication and division? Yes, I do. I have both. Multiplication and division. Now the division does come first. Even though it says MD, we do those in the order they come. So please do the division because it comes before the multiplication. So now I have 2 plus, I want to do this 10 divided by 5 first. So 10 divided by 5 is 2, and then I have times 4. Okay, stick with that. Do I still have multiplication and division? I do. I have multiplication. So now I'm going to do 2 plus 8, and that's going to give me 10. So notice how I'm doing these problems. I'm kind of doing this reverse triangle till I get down to that last value, right? All right, last one. Parentheses first. I certainly do. So I want to do this 2 minus 8. 2 minus 8. Negative 6. So now I have negative 6 squared minus 2 times negative 3. Right? No more parentheses to work out. Do I have exponents? E is next. I have my exponent here of a 2 or a squared. So negative 6 times negative 6 is a positive 36. Negative times negative is positive. Now I have 36 minus 2 times negative 3. All right. Done with exponents. Do I have any multiplication or division? I certainly do. I have some multiplication here. So now I'm going to do that. Right? I'll put that in parentheses so we can see what we're doing. 36 minus 2 times negative 3. Signs are different. So my product is going to be negative. So minus, and inside those parentheses is a negative 6. All right, and finally, I have 36 minus negative 6 minus negative. It's going to give me the same as plus a positive. So 36 plus 6 is going to give me a final answer of 42. All right, last thing. Remember, recursion is just repeating a process over and over again, getting an answer, putting it back into the beginning, and doing it again and again and again. So follow along with this on your calculator. I'm going to start with an input or a starting value of 1. And I'm going to enter that starting value into this expression right here. So my starting value goes in that box. So negative 2 plus 0.5 times 1. Enter it exactly like that into your calculator. Okay, do this as we go, and you should get a negative 1.5. So here's the recursion. I'm going to put that negative 1.5 back in. So now right here is going to go a negative 1.5. Okay, so now if I put in a negative 1.5 and follow along, I'm going to get a negative 2.75. All right, so I'm going to take that answer and I'm going to put it back in. This is what recursion is. Negative 2.75 back into that same expression. Okay, I'm going to take that and put it back into that same expression. So go ahead and pause the video and continue that. So these are the values that you should get. Notice that we're getting closer and closer to a certain number. In other words, the difference between the value before and the next value is getting smaller and smaller. Those values are getting closer and closer together. So each result of the recursion seems to get closer to a certain number. If you continue that, you're going to get these values. So if you keep going in your table 3 more times, this is what you're going to get. What do you think is going to happen after even more recursions? What do you think this is getting closer and closer to? Well, it looks to me like this is getting pretty close to a -4. Last definition, or last thing for today. So -4 is what's called the attractor value. It's the number that these results are getting closer and closer to as we continue to evaluate this recursively, as we continue this repetitive process over and over and over again.